I used to think the opposite of love was hate. But I was wrong. The real opposite of love is indifference. For 10 years, Sarah was my world. And then, one Tuesday afternoon, she taught me that I had become nothing more than a ghost in our own home. What she did didn't just break my heart, it erased me. On the surface, we were the perfect American dream. A quiet Austin suburb. Me, the software engineer. She, the talented graphic designer. We had the golden retriever, and a life built on what I thought were shared dreams. For years, it truly was perfect, built on late-night talks, and a belief that we were a team. But then came the slow fade, a gradual cooling that I kept making excuses for. It started with small things. Her eyes glued to her phone while I talked about my day. Her voice a million miles away. Our date nights became obligations, filled with a silence that was louder than any music. And the simple act of me reaching for her hand, it was met with a flinch that felt like a rejection. The small moments of neglect soon escalated into a death by 1,000 cuts. For our 8th anniversary, I planned a surprise getaway to a cabin she'd always dreamed of visiting. I was met with an annoyed sigh and told her work was more important. She casually demoted my career to a hobby. The humiliation was even worse in public. At a friend's barbecue, she turned a light-hearted story of mine into a jab about my inability to finish projects. She reduced me to a punchline in front of everyone we knew. I started to look in the mirror and not recognize the defeated man staring back, his light extinguished. I was living with the ghost of the woman I married. I'd hear her bright, sparkling laugh on the phone with friends. A laugh she never shared with me anymore. I felt like I was losing my mind, replaying every interaction, letting her indifference convince me that I was the problem, that I was boring, a failure, unworthy. The turning point arrived on a rainy afternoon. I stumbled upon a letter she wrote years ago, just after we got engaged. My hands trembled as I read her words. She called me perfect, kind, and stable, but also the safe choice. She confessed a fear that by choosing me, she was settling. In that moment, everything clicked. She didn't fall out of love with me. She was never fully in love with the life she chose with me. I wasn't her partner. I was her compromise, and she spent years punishing me for a choice she resented. That night, I confronted her, not with anger, but with the cold, quiet clarity of a man who finally understood. She couldn't meet my gaze, and in her silence, I found the truth. I told her, "You didn't just disrespect me, you erased me." As I packed a bag, she tearfully asked, "So, that's it? You're just leaving?" I realized the truth as I stood at the door. I had already left a long time ago. I just didn't have the courage to walk out. Leaving was the hardest thing I've ever done. But in the months since, I've started finding the pieces of myself I thought were gone forever. I learned that you cannot force someone to value you, and you must never let their unhappiness dim your own light. I was her safe choice, but I am not a compromise, and my own story, it's just beginning.